Teruan Sarana, dear friends of Dhamma, welcome to our English home talk. First, we would like to pay the Buddha Father, spiritual Dhamma guidance teacher, and we also like to thank you for attending this Dhamma Zoom talk. We discuss about Dhamma with the wisdom of practice, Kritya of that learned Uttama followed by the wisdom that completed the process of realization. Uttanyane. This is the gradual direction of the path to Nirvana. The Suttamenyana is the philosophy of the Dhamma. It's the wisdom of Buddhist vision. This is the Buddhist philosophy. We need to understand the vision philosophy. That the Buddha unraveled to the world. In this philosophy of the Buddha, we do not see the world externally. We do not meet the form, rupa, and the self, atma. This leads to the consolations for ourselves, and it is the path to the realization of the ultimate truth. The wisdom of practice, Kritanyana, is there to practice the path. But none of this is meditation. We need to leave the side for a while completely this process in a realization of the dependent origination. Only it's possible to realize the truth of the mind to the need knowledge to dependent origination. We know that there were hermits such as Arana, Uddaka, they were in the dhyana of the Rupa and non-form Arupa, and they did not find the ultimate truth, the Nibbana. Therefore, the hermit of Siddhartha had to leave his teachers because he realized that practicing under them, not leading to the cessation of self. The understood that until the cessation or the perceptions of I, the cycle of birth and death could not be stopped. Then he looked deeper inside to understand how this self had been created. Then he realized this perception of I was created in the mind. Knowing this, he tried to understand how the mind is being created. Then he showed the uh, mechanism of creating the mind is the dependent origination. Dependent origination is the way of making the mind. Though it is said that ignorance is caused the volition, abhijja pachya sankhara. Here they realize how the self is created by the mind. In real speaking, if we take that there is a thing outside such as book, table, bed, etc., that same knowledge of which there is thing is also the self ether. Accordingly, the book is also the self ether. Here, when we take this is the form, iti rupa. Then the origin of the form, iti rupa samudaya, is also immersive. We also perceptions of sounds, colors, smells, taste, and contact. When we ask whether the form rupa is the perception, we told it was one step, the form of sounds, colors, smell, taste, and taste and contact. After the context, which are the perceptions of sounds, shabd, color, varna, smell, gandh, taste, rasa, and contact, pot, potab. This is another step. Then it comes from the gross nature of sound and color to the more subtle nature of perception. Now they are the point is not that and to realize different things. If you survey carefully, this Dhamma is not the one, it's the books. It's a practical philosophy. It can be seen by the one who follows it. The person who follows this Dhamma can realize it himself and to becomes his own experience. Every moment this Dhamma can be experienced, we talked about the wisdom of knowing how to see. Mind was formed in the past. Ubbe Jnana. The mind and perception both are the same. The perception is the mind and the perception the object Aramana. Coming to mind at the moment is also the mind as well as the perception. In the deeper study, it can be found that the mind is the creation due to certain factors. To see this, we need to go to the beginning of the mind of a small child. Then we reach the point of disorigination of the form, iti rupan samudaya. And now we recognize that is the form, rupa, which is the object of mind. The perception, a perception form. The next thing is we need to see how this form, rupa, has been created. Iti rupan samudaya. We know now that perception is also the mind. Therefore, we need to know how this perception arises. We understand this is important to go to point out the instant born. We say that the perceptions like a book, table, and chair have come from past memory. These books, tables, and chairs, and also forms nimitti. Then there is book. Then there is question of how this form came into effect. It cannot be dis- disregarded by saying that it is merely a perception. To see the mechanism of how the mind has been created, one has to understand the point of this is the form, iti rupa. It is the wisdom of origin, samudaya jnana. If not known how the mind is formed, is called Satamaya jnana. Samudaya ajnana. Now it is understood that seeing the mind means seeing the perception. The mind and perception both are the same when one sees the formation of the mind. He is of the view that the mind object has come from the past memory. Then we know that it has been talking about the object, Aramana. Now we can get our common example of book, which is the object. Therefore, this form, Rupa, has to be realized. Dear my love friends, we always practice in our Dhamma in day-to-day life. Sometimes we want to some we want to explain our Dhamma or we face the any problems or want the solution. Then the father, our teacher, the guidance teacher, all is ready to we explain to the correct path. Then we wait a moment. Buddha Arana said, "Join us." Everyone, everyone, everyone,
parties doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself. Even Lord Buddha said several occasions you can achieve this in the place where you are. All the necessary tools is within yourself. When as somebody has a mind, there is a way out of the mind. As පුත්තුත්පාදවාරයන් වහන්සේ say, සිතක් තියෙනවා නම් සිතෙන් මිගෙන මර්ගුත් තියෙනවා. That means if you have a mind, there is a way out of the mind. So, what is our role here? First, you have to understand the depending and ordination and the universal truth of existence. This is the Dhamma of self-realization. It's not a belief. Anybody who has a sound mind can understand it. What you have to do is only to have the liking to understand the truth. And then experiencing it, cleansing your mind from defilements or clarifying any doubts you have. And another important thing is nobody else is there to do it for you. It's up to you. It's your own duty to liberate yourself. We come to this world alone. We go out from this world alone. We meet people during our lifetime. Some of them will help you, and some of them will liberate you. Our understanding is the noble one, Buddha Arana answer is someone you will find very rare. Who will give you the best gift ever. Oh, great. So please use this opportunity and try to be practical as much as possible and measure your defilements and see how your ego is fading away and you will be your own teacher. And all the others around you can help you. It's your own journey. Thank you for listening. May Buddhotpadwaryan Master guide us further on this spiritual path. May this meritorious deed assist you in attaining blissful nirvana.
Everyone, can we might have mute?
Today we continue our discussion on dependent and origination. Paticca Samuppada. And by now we all understand what Tathagata Lord Buddha discovered.
Hiran Sannai. There was a technical error. Let me start again. Sorry about it.
Everyone Saranai. Let us pay homage to our spiritual guide, noble friend, Buddhutpadu Aryan Master. Today we continue our discussion on dependent and origination. Paticca Samuppada. And by now we all understand what Tathagata Lord Buddha discovered as never heard Dhamma is dependent and origination, and how cause and effect. If something has a reason to exist, when the discontinuation of this existence results the ending. This is the natural law. Anyone would able to understand, and we are surrounded by it. So our story, how our life works and how we feel exist is explained by dependent and origination. Our six senses operate based on the dependent and origination. Vibration or the telepathy of the entity and the vibration taking place in Pali Samanantara, that is equalization of two ends, create the vision, hearing, and sensations, bodily sensation, that is taste, smell, and sensation of your body. As soon as you prevent this, or as soon as this cause of the vibration is prevented, or stopped, it could be also coming to non-existence or prevented, stopped, terminated. And that is the time you will understand you can stop the suffering. The suffering begins with the operation of these six entities, and one who get the belief that you are in existence and the wrong view, me, myself, suffering begins. Dear friends, you have to understand this truth to begin with the path to liberation. This is known as universal truth of wisdom, Satyajnana. Satya is truth, Jnana is wisdom. So basically, all beings are operated on their senses. It can be more than what humans have, or it can be less than what humans have. As humans, we have six senses. These six senses operate on the vibration. And the hearing part of it. Nowadays, we understand it's between 20,000 hertz, between 20 to 20,000 hertz. As soon as you hear something within this range, based on your childhood to now experience, you create the picture or uppana or it or the vision within your system. You identify objectives. In Pali, Aramuna, the meaning, close meaning to it is the belief or understanding of one particular objective is based on the vibration and the identification by an individual. We'll go into an example. When going back to the childhood, when a child is taught, when a dog is barked, that's dog is barking. So as soon as, even now when you experience a dog barking, what you learned in your childhood, you identify the dog's bark. So how that happens? It's a kind of a telepathy system which is known today's and today's context. In Buddha's explanation, it is called samanantara. That is, two ends, samanantara, is being in a same wavelength. So when you hear the sound or the vibration from dog's mouth, and in your hearing aid or in your eardrum, pick up the sound, the vibration become equilibrium, and then that creates the recognition or coming back to understanding what you learned maybe as a child. This is what dog sounds like, or a barking dog. So this is the depending and origination. The origination take place from the sound of the barking dog. Your understanding of the picture of a barking dog as soon as you hear it. So for us to understand how our whole life works around this, what we taught as sound and vision mostly has created this world. Our world works around these learnings of sound and vision, taste, smell, and the bodily sensations. And each and every day, without knowing this truth, our soul, ego, defilements getting complex or more into us, and things are getting stuck in us. That's how the soul getting solidified or the ego become stronger and stronger. Actually, is there anything for us to grab into? It's just a six entities working simultaneously based on the vibrations and the speed of the things. This whole world is created and we believe in existence till the last breath. And sometimes we become pain to other beings, to the environment, due to ignorance of believing that you have to preserve yourself at any cost. The most important talent or the kusala or the meritorious deed a human can do, as Buddhotpadwaran once emphasized and what Buddha said throughout his 45 years of teachings, is to overcome, unwind yourself from this process. And our spiritual leader always tell us to be practical. What is Buddhotpada Aryan Mahanse asking from us being practical? Being practical is not to be part of the system and believing or feeding your ego and being part of this illusion. As Tathagata Buddha, Lord Buddha said, doing all the good deeds, spending most valuables on donations, and all the worldly good deeds you do, the value of that exceed by a few seconds of being mindful or without being not being a slave of six senses. And the meaning of Bauddha Bauddha means Bhava Agamana, that is prevention of going on samsara. Prevention of the flow. And each second, based on these six senses, not even second is much faster than that, we get thoughts. These thoughts are the birth. But Buddha Dwarayan Vansi taught us as a rediscovery of what Tathagata was explaining. It's the birth of your thoughts that's really a birth. Billions of thoughts are created in a mind at one given time. So all of us are like a piece of wood caught in a violent stream due to flooding. Till you know the truth, depending on origination, and then try to overcome this illusion. My dear Dhamma friends, we are very lucky to be understanding this depending on origination. This is the universal truth. And this is the reason for the life. And it's very rare to born as a human. And I believe you have to born as a human to understand depending on origination, because these six senses, how they work and how to overcome, cannot be done in a body of an animal who may be with the limited number of senses born as a different being. That's why Lord Buddha said it's very rare to born as a human and very rare to hear the depending on origination, and it's much scarce to overcome it. And Tathagata gave an example of a blind sea turtle. And the example is a blind sea turtle living in the bottom of the sea is very rare to come out, and there's a small window of chance he can see the light through a a floating piece of wood or something similar to that has a hole in it, and in that hole he can see the outside world. That's much rare. Isn't it not a rocket science to understand it, isn't it? Now, you should understand how quickly our lives end, and look at the nature and how it works. We would have been circling around the samsara unimaginable time. And understanding the truth and how our story or our life works. And then, even if you understand it, by now you know how difficult it is to unwind yourself from this system, which is very strong. Not a normal person can overcome it. And the talent you need to have and ability to have a disciplined life and find a teacher or a noble friend who himself have experienced it and able to explain to others, this is how it is being done. You don't have to go too far away. Before our noble friend Buddhotpado Aryan came out and explained these things, how many of you have tried this and gone after other teachers? In our own experience, we had seen all the senior monks' sermons, read books, and till we heard Buddhotpado teachings, the practicality way of doing this. And the way is the solution to overcome this enormous suffering or overcome this system. Another aspect of depending and origination is cause and the effect. That you can make curd out of milk, but you can't turn curd to milk. It's same with what's happening with our six senses or the six entities. Vibrations or the speed which create the world cannot be turned back to vibrations. Because of that, You are always made to believe that there is existence of me, mind, myself. The wrong view is created based on the signal that you have as a ego or a soul. So the talent or the kusal or the mindfulness, overcoming the ignorance by understanding the truth, depending on origination, is the only way to overcome the suffering. So mindfulness or the real tranquility or the Pali word samadhi of a Buddhist practitioner is focusing on these six senses and not being a slave to it. Let me come back to how it works. The practitioner who understands the dependent and origination or the universal truth knows how the system works. And he start to realize that this is just a system running and it's not me, mind, myself to be grabbed onto. And he will realize that as soon as you stuck by a thing or anything come to become a thing to you is the creation of me, mind, myself. The example of newborn. And the newborn has all the senses, six entities. But as soon as he's born, he doesn't believe he's in existence or there is me, mind, myself. But gradually, he will be taught to become someone, a personality, a profile within himself that will believe into a ego. And as soon as a child is born, only thing he can do is he can drink milk from his or her mother's breast. And he knows when he's hungry to make a sound, and the sounds mother identifies as crying, being hungry, makes him drink milk. And the sounds the mother makes, or what he gathers from the six senses, he will start to get attached with the milk. And as soon as he believes the milk is in existence and the craving he is making over the milk, that's the time the world is created for him or her. Until he was taught certain things, he doesn't know what he's doing. Some of them are taught as certain social aspects. Some of them are taught as survival instincts. For example, a newborn child or a child doesn't understand he can even eat his what his discharge until the mother teaches him or the elders teaches him or her that it's not the correct social etiquette and this is not supposed to eat or drink. It's just your discharge. It's a filthy thing to do. So these teachings, from hearing from the mother or the elders who are taught, teaching the child and the vision of these discharges and the smell of the tools or the taste of it will make him or her disattached from this. So that's how you made into your personality. And same time, this is how the life is created. Your and my story also being created. It kind of enforced us how the world is working, isn't it? And we become part of it. So to overcome this, someone who understands the truth, like our Lord Buddha, have to come into realization how the system works And this is very rare. There are some periods there won't be anyone who understand it and able to explain to others. So imagine the suffering we have to go through on these periods. We don't have to go too far. The recent history we know till 2500 years back, nobody knew what is dependent and origination or why we are here and what it is this suffering. So, my dear friends, you are one of the most luckiest people to hear the truth, and you have the solution to overcome the truth of suffering and same time to enjoy the liberation from the suffering. And you have all the tools to be able to equip yourself and talented to turn it around and be an awakened one. This is the best talent all Buddhas recommend anyone should have, the talent or the merit or kusal to be mindful with what's going on with the six senses and reach the tranquility or the samadhi level that the illusion will not create it and you will be carried away and do evil things or not so meritorious activities. The practical pathway is that you have to be vigilant all the four stances sitting, standing, lying down, or on walk, how they operate. A beginner who start with the more walking meditation, the darshana, or the insightful wisdom, will first see on his walk how the ground push against the feet and the air is blown around himself, and the sight and the hearing, and how these senses are operated. So as we discussed in the beginning, how we gather things as me, mine, myself, in this practice, you will see it's just, if you see something, it's just a sight. It's not me, mine, myself. The ignorance or our wrongdoing is when we see something, we try to accept it as our own, me, mine, myself. As Lord Buddha said, a person who understands the truth or depending on origination, within 7 days to 7 years, you will liberate yourself from the suffering. Our understanding is, and believe you will also experience yourself, when you go in the practical path, you gradually manage to increase the yoniso manasikara or the mindfulness within these six senses, and you will gradually see the system works, and and the mind is running right, and it's not something for me to hang on as me, mine, myself, or to maintain an ego and try to put everyone else down and bring yourself up, or doing any kind of evil, and you will become a part of the nature. And it's just like a tree which stand on the earth, and when wind blows, its branches blown by the wind, and only difference is tree doesn't say I'm a tree. Same way you will understand it's just a nature system of its six senses operating, and it is not something for me to kill or, or do any evil things to preserve it. And you will become harmonized with the nature when you improve your practical experience. For you, when you become more and more practical on the four stands, when you start to become a good practitioner, You will have this tranquility or the samadhi 24/7. And you won't be part of and you will gradually get away from the system, become a victim to the system, and suffering on illusions. And you will see with the wisdom that kind of the movie runs in your mind, or the pictures or the visions you get, and the suffering created by it. Not a problem for you anymore. However, this doesn't mean that you will be experiencing something totally different to you right now. The whole system will run. It's like a tree blown by the wind or the nature, what you see, how the surrounding nature system works, your system as a body will operate as it is, but only difference is a practitioner would not become part of the system and get caught in the illusion. And he would not be the victim, and he would be the person in charge of the system. This is the beauty of depending and origination. And the great teachers who will understand it themselves and try to help others to experience it themselves. So, dear Dharma friends, what we can suggest, don't be late. This is the best opportunity you will have, maybe not in this life, maybe throughout your samsara. Now you are exposed to the truth. First try to understand it. And clarify all your doubts. You have a noble friend who can explain things in a simple manner. So we all are very lucky. Please use the opportunity and understand yourself, clarify any doubts, and try to stay in the practical path. Staying in practical path doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself. Even Lord Buddha said several occasions, you can achieve this in the place where you are. All the necessary tools is within yourself. When as somebody has a mind there is a way out of the mind, as Buddha Arana Maharaj says. සිතක් තියෙනවා නම් සිතෙන් මිගෙන මාර්ගයක් තියෙනවා. That means if you have a mind, there is a way out of the mind. So, what is our role here? First, you have to understand the depending and origination and the universal truth of existence. This is the Dhamma of self-realization. It's not a belief. Anybody who has a sound mind can understand this. What you have to do is only to have the liking to understand the truth, and then practically experiencing it, cleansing your mind from defilements or clarifying any doubts you have. And another important thing is nobody else is there to do it for you. It's up to you. It's your own duty to liberate yourself. We come to this world alone. We go out from this world alone. We meet people during our lifetime. Some of them will help you, and some of them liberate you. Our understanding is the noble one, Buddha Arana answered. It's someone you will find very rare. Who will give you the best gift ever. Oh. Okay. So please use this opportunity and try to be practical as much as possible and measure your defilements and see how your ego is fading away, and you will be your own teacher. And all the others around you can help you. It's your own journey. Thank you for listening. May Buddha Arana Maharaj guide us further on this spiritual path. May this meritorious deed assist you in attaining blissful nirvana.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි මෙහෙණින් වහන්සේ.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි. Our time for forward. That is stop today. Okay, තෙරුවන් සරණයි.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි මෙහෙණින් වහන්සේ. We can do you have anything to be include this?
No. Shall we finish our ධම්ම discussion නේ. Okay.
Okay. තේරුවන් සරණයි මෙන්න.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි.